Komets Corner is presented by Lee's Famous Recipe.
Jack Dugan is your team MVP as the awards coming out on Sunday after the final regular season game. Doogie winning for the second year in a row. Very deserving. Some other awards across the board. We're talking about the True Comet, Anthony Petruzzelli. Rookie of the Year, Brett Brochu. Most improved, Connor Unger, unfortunately had a hobble out there a little bit as well. And Mr. Hustle, Jack Gordiak. There were more awards as well. But Jack Dugan winning the MVP for the second year in a row.
Yep.
I know we talked about this a lot. Kyle Mayhew was probably in that discussion. Brett Brochu could be in that discussion. Shane Albahrani could be in that discussion.
Why not?
Why not? Why not? He was there for all 72.
Exactly. I was the Iron Man. Come on.
Exactly. But when you take a look at Jack Dugan, before we talk about the playoffs or we talk about this past weekend as we wrap up the regular season, just talk about some of the awards and what was your reaction specifically. Jack Dugan winning the team MVP. I mean, he led the league in assists, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, second year in a row he did that. Jack Dugan I think was the favorite. I think, but you mentioned, you could go with Brett Brochu. You could have gone with Kyle Mayhew. Wouldn't have been the wrong answer, but I think Jack Dugan leading the team in points and again leading the league in assists. And he does so many other things out there. He's the guy who what'd you say about Reggie Jackson? I stir the drink. That's Jack Dugan.
Yeah,
showing our age.
The straw that stirs the drink.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be Mr. October. He needs to be Mr. April and May
does.
is what we would like to see. But as far as this team goes, wrapping on the regular season, 72 games up, 72 games down. With that coming to a close, before we look at the playoffs, what do you most remember about this regular season? How would you rate this regular season? Because last year at this point, we were wrapping up the whole thing. We didn't have any playoffs. This year, number 2 seed in the Central Division.
Yeah, I think 90 points was really the goal here, and they got to 91. So I think goals were met, expectations were met as well. This is a really tight-knit group of guys, so I really like the way these guys came together. And, we've had some new players come in here over the last, say, 6 weeks, and they've been very welcoming, and they've been saying they've been already just put into the mix and feeling really comfortable. So this team has been really welcoming to new players, and I think it just makes it that much more attractive for these guys to come back next year.
All right, let's talk about what everybody wants to talk about as we pull up the full screen of the games coming up. We're talking playoff hockey right now, and it starts Friday in the Jungle, Saturday in the Jungle with Game 2. Then the series shifts to Iowa for Games 3, 4, 5 if necessary, but of course the series will come back to Fort Wayne for Games 6 and 7 if necessary. So when you take a look at the schedule, man, it's playoff time already, but it starts Friday, and in any type of series, you want to get that first one, right?
Yeah, it's really important to get that first one. If you're on the road, you want to split. Okay, that's what you want. But the Komets definitely want to win one first game and get that momentum going, because again, all right, a split is good. Then you're going to go on the road. You're going to go to Iowa, a place where you can win, and the crowd's not going to be a factor. So you'll be able
daggers already, man! Bulletin board material right off the bat. We don't hurt their chances, but the weird thing about this is they've played 5 times in the regular season. None of those games have been in Fort Wayne. This will be the first time, not counting the 2 exhibition games in early October, that these 2 teams have played in Fort Wayne this season.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. That was a really weird scheduling quirk when we got the schedule initially, that Iowa never came to Fort Wayne. Same thing, we only went to Cincinnati once this year, so that's another thing that popped up on the schedule that was eye-catching. But Iowa, they have not been here, so you're hoping to have a really good crowd. The Komets did set an attendance record. The highest average attendance per game was set last night. The fans have been coming out, and hopefully, they'll turn that into some playoff ticket buys and come on out next Friday and Saturday.
We're taking a look at some of the highlights versus Iowa this year, and I went through these highlights last week, and the one thing that stuck out to me is Alex Eliardi was a killer against Iowa, man. I don't know what the matchup is or what lines he plays against, but he was really, really good in the games against Iowa, especially the ones a month ago in March.
Yeah, that was when he was kind of coming out of his slump, and everything was then coming in bunches. And he's an incredibly dangerous player, and he's a guy who has won a cup. He knows what it takes, so he's going to be a very important part of this team going forward.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. He went on a 19-game scoreless streak,
Yes.
correct? It's
Yes.
no goals in 19 games, but still finished tied for first on the
Yeah.
team with 23 goals with Jack Dugan.
Yeah.
That says a lot about the times when he was clicking. He was really, really, really good.
Yeah, no, he's a guy who was kind of streaky, but they come in bunches. But yeah, like you said, 19 games without a goal, and yet here he was still tied for the team lead. That's crazy if you think, even if he just kind of goes down to an average there in those 19 games, he could have had, 30, 35 goals this season. But no, Alex Albahrani, he has been a delight. He's been a wonderful addition to this club, and he brings leadership. He brings a winning attitude, and, he's just the nicest guy in the world, but he's one of the best competitors ever.
Scouting-wise, so you've seen Iowa, not counting the 2 preseason games, 5 times in the regular season, 7 in total. What's the scouting report on Iowa?
Really good goaltending, excellent goaltending, and that's a little frightening because when your goaltender can steal you a game, they can steal you a series. All they need is that one game. So I feel, confident that we know what we're up against. They're very good defensively. They're kind of streaky offensively. I think our forward group is better, even though we're still missing, Ethan Keppen. I think the forward group is better defensively. No Kyle Mayhew. Not sure when he'll return. No Darren Brady. So that hampers the Komets a little bit, just in the experience department. But this group right now, I think it's has gelled pretty well. Owen Gallatin, who was picked up, he's actually kind of a little mini Kyle Mayhew. Not quite up there, but I'll tell you what, he's pretty close. He's actually not bad at all. So he has been terrific back there. And, you got Brett Brochu back. And again, it all comes down to goaltending in the playoffs. If your goaltending is solid, you're going to have a chance to win.
Yeah, and you mentioned the forwards really solidifying themselves, playing very well. One of the guys who's taken a step forward, Jack Gorniak this season. We had a chance to chat with him at practice next week. Here's what Jack the Flash had to say. For you, where have you expanded your game the most? What have you grown? What have you worked on this past season to become a more complete hockey player for this Komets team?
Yeah, I think obviously moving to center this year, so that's been something different, but just working on my defensive game, sharpening that up, and then just offensive contribution too. So I think I'm becoming more comfortable with the puck, making more plays, and continue to do that.
Where have you seen this team improve the most over the last 69 games?
Honestly, I think D-zone's one of the things, like I touched on. I think it's definitely getting cleaned up a bit compared to earlier in the season, and that's something that's good because you got to be able to defend come Kelly Cup time.
How do you go about making sure that things gel no matter who's here? Because there's going to be a lot of competitions for those playoff spots when it comes to the roster and guys are back here.
Yeah, obviously the focus is on the Komets. Just focus on the culture we're building here and take it one day at a time, like I said, and go from there.
Jack Gorniak, a couple of goals this weekend, up to 18 for the season. A player you like a lot.
Yeah, Flash is one of the most dynamic players in this league. I said this last year when he came out of training camp. I think if he is able to put his game all together, and he's done. I mean, 18 goals. He was snake bitten a lot in the first part of the season, like he was all last season. He's probably the fastest skater in the league and great defensively. He's always moving and he's all business. And as soon as he learned to finish, to get in on the goaltender, make his moves and put pucks in the back of the net, he's going to be an all-star one day. And I think he's real close to that right now. And I think he is really a big key factor. He is the X factor in this because he is a guy who can change games in a hurry.
And he's a Wisconsin Badger. We don't hold that against him as Hoosiers and Purdue fans, although they don't have hockey, obviously. But let's take a look at some of the highlights from Sunday's past game. What are the Komets doing well at this point in the season that you think this team can carry over? I mean, we talked to Jesse Kalicki during practice last week, and he was like, I'm not a big believer in momentum in between games. I'm a big believer in momentum during games, though. So what are the Komets looking to carry over from what we saw this past weekend into the playoffs this coming week?
Confidence. You shut out Cincinnati the week before, then you go into Toledo and you shut out Toledo 3-0 at the Huntington Center, which I don't think has happened in many years. And then you come home, you get another big win. Last night's game was kind of wacky because you had different line combinations. Jack Dugan was having a seat just as a precaution. Odin Tufto was allegedly going to come back, but decided he wanted another week, and I'm kind of glad that happened because
it's one of the questions on my sheet.
Yes, because of the shenanigans that happened during the third period last night. You know, you run into that situation where you have a team there's no tomorrow for them, so they're going to go out there and they're going to get a little silly, and I think Bloomington did that last night. Nick Deacon-Poot was shaken up in the third period. We hope he's okay. So there's a little bit of a question mark right now going into the playoffs, and there we go. There's Nick down on the ice. Yeah, I mean, I think this team has got the confidence. You know, a lot has been made of what we have up in the AHL, but, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, you're going to work with the roster you have, and when all those guys get back, you know, that's just going to be a plus. But this group right now, I think it's come together really well. You know, I really like the Josh Grohl kid. I think he has really brought another dimension to this team offensively. He's a guy who now the other team has got to look out for, and you couple him, you know, with Zach Jordan, you know, and a Blake Murray.
Murray's looked good.
Murray's looked great. He's dialed in. So that line, you know, that line didn't exist 6 weeks ago, and now it does. So you know, fantastic working by Jesse Calicky and all the coaching staff to bring that kid in and make these moves here down the stretch, because, you know, they kind of maybe they had their crystal ball. They knew that they were going to have call-ups, and they made those trades and those moves late in the season. And here we are with this pretty solid lineup going in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, with Brochu back, the timing couldn't be better. Talk about Connor Unger, where we see him. He's the team's rookie of the year. He obviously played well with Brett up in the AHL, but you know, 14-day IL. So where is he at this point?
Yeah, you know, I don't think we're going to see him anytime soon. The timing of that was incredible because Connor Unger goes down literally as Brett Brochu is coming back to Fort Wayne, and then, you know, you get Nathan Day, who have been excellent. I mean, he's given up one goal,
really,
you know,
has.
In 2 starts and one in relief in Toledo. So he's been a terrific find as well. So I think goaltending, we're fine. Brett Brochu is your number one, but, you know, at these games, you know, when you're not playing for anything, Toledo wasn't playing for anything really. You know, we weren't outside of just, you know, winning the game, and you get these injuries, and it happens every year. You know, I remember a couple years ago when Sean Boudreau went down, I think in the last regular season game, we lost in the first round of the playoffs. You know, I think 4 of those games that we lost were decided by 1 goal, and he was the second leading goal scorer. And, you know, I got to think that he would have maybe gotten 2 or 3 goals, and there was your difference in the series.
Made a big difference.
So you know, those games down the stretch, you know, trying to keep everyone healthy, but, you know, you got to keep everyone in the game, and it's contact sport. It happens. So here we are.
That's what I was going to say. No matter how healthy you are, nobody is like 100% healthy. Like even any of the players, and certainly not throughout top to bottom an entire roster. Well, you mentioned the addition of Josh Grohl, really good young kid that they brought in. He's looked, it's looked seamless with him, and he always has a smile on his face. And I had a chance to chat with him at practice last week, and here's what the youngster out of Minnesota, Mankato, had to say.
I mean, it's been easy. The team culture here is unbelievable. So I've kind of just tried to fit in and talk to my teammates a lot, play like they do, and it's worked out really well. Been getting really good guidance from the older guys, and they've been helping me kind of get used to a different type of style in this league. It's a little harder, heavier, so that's been helping me a lot. And I think just trying to stick through the ups and lows and stay through it, that's helped me a lot.
What's impressed you about this group?
Just how tight everyone is. You know, I came in on Friday right before a game, and right away I felt like I was a part of the team. So they were super welcoming, and just having that culture really makes it easy to play for each other and with each other. So that's surprised me a lot. It's made things really easy. Just playing hard, heavy playoff hockey. Nothing too cute, nothing too fancy. Just playing simple, effective, and playing for my teammates.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, just having fun out here, playing for the Komets. It's been a blast.
There you go, 23 years old. He's got the world in his palm. He's got the world in his hand. Now, I mean, he's been really good. He scored, 3 goals in his first 4 games as a Komet?
Yeah, and if you watch him, it's like he's been here all year. It's like he's been a pro. He just knows where the puck is. He is where he's supposed to be at all times. He's playing really good defensively. He's not afraid to get into the corners and get dirty. And he's just got a great nose for the puck. And I love watching this kid play. And again, this is also a situation where you're also you're starting to think about next year as well. So a guy like this, you've made a good impression, and hopefully he comes back.
Okay, so Jesse's got to make the playoff roster this week. A lot of guys, a lot of moving parts. Who's coming up? Who's coming down? I guess nobody's coming up, or very unlikely. But talk a little bit about what that's like this week. How do they sort it all out? Because, like you said, Grohl has played really well. The guys that have been brought in have all made positive impressions thus far.
Yeah, the roster is due today, Monday, 3 o'clock. So the guys are in the war room right now as we speak. I don't want to be in their shoes because there's going to be a lot of tough decisions. Looking at what's going on with Bakersfield, it looks like the guys who are up there will be there until the end of the regular season. If Bakersfield makes the playoffs, well, they'll keep them obviously until they're out of the playoffs. So right now, I think best case scenario, we see these guys back in the middle of the series. I don't think they're going to be back to start the series. So now you've got to kind of juggle. It's like, okay, do we risk playing shorthanded essentially? You can have 24 players, so you can dress 20. So do we leave these guys off the roster or do we put them on? And if they don't come back, now we're handicapped a little bit. So it is, it's a head scratcher for these guys right now, but every team in the league right now is doing the same thing.
True. And you'd rather have this problem because you're in the playoffs than not being in the playoffs. But final question for me, as we look forward, what are you most looking forward to about playoffs? I mean, Komets fans are so used to it. It was very weird last year not to be in the postseason, so you get a little bit more grateful that the Komets are in the postseason this year. But what are you most looking forward to about this opportunity the next couple of weeks? Because, I mean, really, when you take a look at sports all across the board, the intensity and the grind that playoff hockey is, I mean, there's really nothing like it.
No, this is the greatest thing. Playoff hockey, and I don't care what level it is. We had the Frozen Four last week.
Western Michigan, man.
Right. Wonderful hockey. And but no, playoff hockey is the greatest sporting event on the planet. I'm saying that to the camera. It is. Playoff hockey, there's nothing like it. So I'm just looking forward to the intensity of that. I'm excitable anyway, but I even kind of crank it up a notch during the playoffs.
There you go. You got to.
I'm ready to go.
You're clean shaven. I would like to see a Shane playoff beard.
I cannot do that. I am not allowed to.
Really?
The wife will say after 2 days that needs to go.
Wow.
So, there has been a lot of discussion over the years about that, and I tell the guys, I'm like, she's right over there. Have a chat with her.
Yeah. You fight that battle. All right. Well, we're going to be talking playoff hockey next week. As the season progresses, we're finally here. Postseason begins Friday night in the Jungle and Saturday with Game 2. And, of course, we'll have it all covered on Komets Corner. He's Shane. I'm Glenn. We'll see you next week.
Komets Corner is presented by Lee's Famous Recipe.